If you're tired of Hey folks, hope you guys are doing good today. Oh, my volumes have been adjusted a little bit. Let's dial this down a bit. Hope you're having a good night. There we go. Let's play some games. Fun lights. Here we go. Hope you guys are having a good one. Let's pop it open here and see what we want to do here. Actually, before I do that, let me talk a little bit here. Let's get this down now. All right, hope you guys are having a good night. I know I am. What day is it? Well, it just switched over to being the 11th. 1-1-1-2-1. Good little date here. So we're gonna play some more Final Fantasy. I wanted to make a couple of points that I made on my website, and I'll go ahead and link the article real quick so that that you just have it in written form, I guess, on games preservation going forward. I got a feeling, and I could feel it in the wind, that it's going to be harder to game in the near future. And there are some reasons that I think that, oh, there's a steel penny sitting on my desk there. And some silver. Boop, boop. It's going to be harder to game in the near future. And the reasons are kind of many. First of all, I think we have the most corporatist Congress stepping in and president in the history of the world. That is to say, the Democrat Party is the party of mega corporations, and they're going to control all branches of government, which means you can look for a lot of legislation to come through regarding intellectual property, because the mega corporations that are really in control of communications are also intellectual property corporations, but you also have big ones like Disney. Basically, every time that Mickey Mouse would enter public domain use, something changes about IP law so that never happens. And really, you couldn't do a Mickey Mouse cartoon anyway, because Disney's captured the trademark basically forever. They may have captured trademarks like Sleeping Beauty too. So now's the time to back up your games, because we are also approaching 2 decades out from, say, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. where disk rot is going to be becoming a bigger issue as we go forward. Disk rot is basically the disks start to break down. And as they start to break down, you're going to lose data on your disks. So it's a really good idea if you have your disks to dump them. You can dump them with RetroArch, which is a front end I use here for a lot of stuff. And you can use RetroArch on a... I was testing it out on an Android tablet. My mom bought us a Fire tablet because our old one was not working that good. This is a very, very cheap tablet that you can get from Amazon that runs ads, but you can strip all that stuff off if you want and just make it a straight Android tablet and run RetroArch on it. There's a game running on it right now. So you can have a lot of options to play these older games without having to worry about failing hardware or your disks rotting. So I would tell people, if you're looking to grab any games off of the Internet Archive or somewhere else, now's probably the time to do it, because I would foresee, I don't want to do a whole thing on like all the predictions I see over the next couple of years, because, kind of want to focus on gaming, but gaming's rather particular in that I think a lot of the places that you were used to getting your ROM images, it's kind of hard to rip your SNES cartridge without special hardware. All the places that you were used to getting your ROM images from are going to start to go away. Now, over the years, all the ROM websites have been shut down except for a couple of places that are very, gray area where you can get them. And it's going to be increasingly difficult to pirate them. And this is going to be definitely true of things that are more obscure. So if you are thinking, well, I can always, if I can't get this rare game onto my computer, I can always pirate it later. If it's really rare, you may not be able to. You don't really know what the future's going to hold. So I think it's going to be harder to hold on to vintage games in going forward because of IP law and because of practical things. Like, I think there's going to be less internet stability in about 4 years. I think there's going to be, and of course, it's really hard to download things when the power's off. People are like, well, the internet's very robust. Yeah, but the power grid is not. So I expect a lot of rolling blackouts over the summer. In California and probably in a lot of other states, you're going to see a lot more blackouts, a lot more power outages that last multiple days. So during those multiple days, you're not really going to be using the internet. So it's good to have a local backup of what's going on. And we've learned how fragile things are on the internet in terms of just being disappeared. That all of the president's tweets he's ever tweeted, including some of the best things ever uttered on the internet, you can't access anymore. So it's good to have local copies of anything that you think you will want in the future or that you want to share with your children, because the hardware will start to fail, the disks will start to rot, things are going to start to break down with age. So my plan is all my backups, and I've had them for years and got them in different places when I couldn't rip the actual cartridge. I'm going to keep a local backup of them on a hard drive, and every so often I'm going to back up that hard drive. I'm going to copy that hard drive to a new hard drive. I'm using a hard drive on my computer that's got all of my backed up videos that I've recorded on YouTube and like all old games and stuff like that that I have ended up with. That hard drive is actually from my old computer. So this hard drive that I'm using, I bought in Vegas probably at this point close to 10 years ago. And that means I really need to be backing this disk up to another bigger disk and kind of continue that forward. So that's what I recommend people do. It's what I recommend you think about doing in the future for whatever events might happen. But I think it's going to be harder to game in the future. The other thing is we are seeing more games getting taken off of digital stores permanently. So Nintendo purged a bunch of its DSiWare games. And the problem with that is that now how do you get those games? You can't legally acquire those games anymore because they were only ever available digitally. So if you have them on your DSi eventually will break down, or your Nintendo DS. Might be a good idea to dump those if you can figure out how to do that to a PC, or find your ROM images to back them up so that you can play them on an emulator in the future. There are DS emulators, or put them on new hardware, play them on a 3DS or some other new hardware that may come out that emulates that older hardware years down the line. I can imagine in 20 years people will come out with fully compatible kind of like how you can buy fully compatible Super Nintendos that are made recently that play Super Nintendo games. I imagine people will have that for some of the other consoles that have existed recently. So the 3DS, for example, is really dependent on the specialized hardware that's in it. You may have another one in 20 years that can play those old games, but you're going to want to have the disc images sitting around just in case. A lot of those more obscure games are not making the leap into the territory of where they're receiving some sort of port. The Final Fantasy 3 and 4 games that I had on the DS, they have PC ports. I bought them twice. I bought them on the PC too, so I could stream them for this series. But there's other things like Final Fantasy 12 Revenant Wings. How are you going to get that? You can't get it. So the only way to get it once it disappears off of digital stores and stuff is to have a ROM image. So you're going to want to have that backup available, and you're going to want to have it local. So anyway, that's what I see. That is a lot of my prediction. That's basically some of my predictions for gaming. This is going to be harder to get games. If you have games from GOG, definitely think about getting them on. I know modern games are huge and it's a lot harder to back them up, but think about trying to find a way to back them up somehow, to have them on some sort of storage that is local, that's to your area, that you can continue to use. So as time goes on, good old games, GOG seems to be a better and better option for things, but even they are going to pull things off the storefront, and then what do? There's nothing to say Steam will let you download your games forever, or things like that. So anyway, just some things I thought I'd point out in kind of the digital age. It's a really good idea to have your local copies. I've done a lot of experimenting with different emulators and stuff. I showed you a tablet. I might do a little video on Fire HD, which is a really cheap Android tablet. You can gut their proprietary OS and make it a lot more usable, and run RetroArch and a whole bunch of different emulators on it for your own purposes to play your old games or whatever you want, or just to have a portable gaming experience that's not, the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is a great portable gaming experience, but maybe you want to play some more obscure PlayStation titles. You have that option. You have that option with RetroArch. So anyway, sorry, let me take a look at chat and we'll see what's up. Disc rot affects early CDs much worse than later ones. Interesting. See, I didn't know this. Sega CD discs are rotting right now, but PS1 still has a fair amount of time left, and PS2 and newer should last for many decades. Yeah. The thing is that I've heard of, I've have PS3 discs that have problems with them that I've had to check on. So sometimes, or the disc could get damaged or scratched on accident, and then what? You're going to have to buy the disc again. Well, it's good to have a backup there too, just in case. But I have heard that about Sega CD stuff, so that a lot of the Sega CD discs are going bad. I haven't had a PS1 disc go bad. I don't know that super dark purple layer, that black layer that they have on there. I don't know if that helps or not. And I've also heard burned discs. They also go bad quicker because they're made with some sort of magnetic technique that burns the little dots on it, and those will get affected over time worse than other things. Also what I heard, South Africa has some of the worst rolling blackouts of any previous first world country for certain unmentionable variables. Yeah, I've talked about that in other content, Pirating even current games can sometimes be challenging if you're into niche titles or obscure indies. So yes, this is good advice. Yeah, have it on your it's going to get harder to pirate things as well. What I imagine is there's going to be a Patriot Act 2 that's going to come out really soon. That's going to, on the surface, it's going to seem like it's going to try to highly target anybody on the right, which is like 50% of America. But I think what you're going to see snuck into that is a lot of IP stuff that's going to basically make it harder to host or talk about anything that is not strictly above board for this sort of thing, including like criminal penalties for piracy, certain kind of piracy things, like for instance, downloading anything off of like any kind of software might end up being a criminal penalty, even if you have the rights to run the software. This is something that I've pondered, and it's always been a legal loophole, which is like, when you buy the software, you're really buying the rights to use the software. And so if you get a copy that's pirated, you've already bought the license to use it, and you may be violating some terms of service. But there's always been some like legal loopholes for things like ROMs, which is like you have the right to use it because you have the ROM, you have the game. So I see like stiffer penalties for that happening. That's just going to make it way harder for anybody to actually get things using the vast open internet. The open internet is going away. We're going to lose a lot of the case of the open internet. A lot of search engine suppression, so that once the hegemon's there, the Google hegemon, my websites that you might want to look up, like, oh, I wonder how I can find out how to do this. How do I jailbreak my Wii U, for instance? In fact, I'm going to link something in the map, in the chat. I'm sorry. Okay, I already linked that. There was a channel I wanted to link that just has a bunch of really very good, very straightforward tutorials on. I think I closed it down. Oh well, I'd linked it on Twitter. Really good tutorials on how to jailbreak all your stuff, right? But it might be that you can't even look that up because it doesn't show up in the search engine results anymore. That's something that is a concern for me going forward. So anyway, I thought I'd give you that wrap a little bit. As people resort to using VPNs to torrent stuff and access banned websites, do you think VPNs will be banned? Yes, or they'll be required to keep a log of all people who have access to it and what they downloaded. And I can see with the next Patriot Act, it's going to be the government can get all electronic communications at any time from any private party through a single request, a non-search warrant, including recordings from your Alexa devices, including recordings from like your, when you say, hey, Google or something to your phone. All that stuff is going to be instantly searchable by the government within the next year. That's my expectation. They're not going to let an opportunity to ram that through Congress go away, especially when they have the majority. So you're looking at the people of a thousand eyes, and you're going to have to think about really practical solutions to that, which is if you're going to use a smartphone, it might be something that when you get home, you take your smartphone out and you put it in a charging box that is soundproof so it cannot see or hear anything that you're doing at home. And when you leave your home, you can use all the services or something that you want. You may have like internet safe zones that you have to establish that don't have any kind of cameras in them or any kind of monitoring, no microphones or something like that, so that you can actually have privacy. The only way you can have privacy is to physically remove all these devices from your space. And people have them so ingrained. I put my phone down on a charger when I sleep at night in case someone needs to call me. Well, there's a flip side to that, which is that eventually the government will be able to ask, they'll be able to ask my ISP or ask Samsung or someone, hey, give us access to his phone so we can hear what he's talking with his wife about right now, because we think he's on a government watch list right now. Isn't copyright violating streaming a felony now thanks to the cancerous COVID bill? Yeah, that's supposedly, but I don't know all the details. It's not. It could be used against individuals, but it's mostly streaming services. So if I set up a streaming service for you guys to listen to music, like I could set this up on like a Mumble server or something like that. We used to do this. So we'd set up a Mumble server, and my friend Jim had this bot that would play music. So it would play. He had a huge music collection. You could tell the bot to play different things, like play Immortal, and it would play like Sons of Northern Darkness for you. And we'd listen to music on Mumble while we played World of Warcraft. Well, that kind of thing would actually be a felony at this point because you're illegally streaming music. I'm streaming music for someone else to hear. That's really what it's going to be. But that still changes what you're doing, because like on me, when I'm streaming this, if we listened to Fellowship the other day, and I'm like, here's a cool band I want you to hear from the UK. Well, you're not selecting the song and using it as a streaming service, but someone could argue that, and then I'd have to spend money and time trying to defend myself. SNL Draco, I'm not really comfortable with Nintendo products. All I've ever heard about them is cease and desist everyone and their mom if they make fan art. Yeah, they are really, they have a very aggressive stance towards protecting their IP, just in general. Patrick Smith, I was working on telling people to do that with their connections to people on social media. Make sure you have backup channels in case you get removed. Losing all your connections really hurts. Yeah, that's a very good piece of advice. Really good piece of advice. I need to do more of that. Are there any discs out there that don't suffer from disc rot as much, like discs made out of glass or something? I don't know. Actual physical vinyl records are actually very robust to time. As long as they're kept in a fairly temperature-controlled environment, your vinyls will last forever. What wears them out, though, is using them. Whereas magnetic tape rots, it breaks down. Your vinyl records, and actually shellac records, I think last longer than any. So your shellac records from 100 years ago, they're not rotting. They're going to be pretty good for a long time. Technically, vinyl records can like vent a little bit, and so you can get warping over time. And shellac is technically better, but it's way more expensive. But your vinyl records actually don't rot, which is pretty cool. Privacy cryptocurrencies like XMR will likely get banned in the 2.0 Patriot Act. I agree, Patrick, and that's actually something I'm worried about. I kind of have a list of things that I'm concerned about. It's for a lot of liberty concerns, a lot of predictions that are bad on liberty. I don't see us necessarily gaining liberty, except if we all get banned off social media, then we kind of have to go back to Internet 1.0 and hanging out on forums, which I kind of like the Internet back then anyway. Better. So we have to take a step back and do things a little bit differently than what we did before. So I could see the government banning cryptocurrency. What a lot of people don't remember is that the U.S. government banned ownership of gold during the Great Depression. And you were ordered to take all of your gold and give it to the government and basically sell it to the government for like $35 an ounce or something like that. Now, why would they make owning gold illegal? You can't think of any reason for this other than they were going to enact a monetary policy that was very obviously not a gold standard based policy. In other words, the amount of currency in circulation would no longer have anything to do with gold being held in reserve by banks or anyone else. Rather, it was a move off the gold standard. Now, you heard that Nixon took us off the gold standard. That is not true. The gold standard disappeared under Roosevelt, under Roosevelt's administration, when gold became illegal to own. So you could only own it to make art, like make jewelry and stuff like that. You could not own gold bullion. And in fact, if you were caught with gold bullion, there was like you could go to a federal prison or something like that. And it was only became legal to buy gold again in the 70s, and the price like shot up, because what had happened is not that people wanted gold so bad. It was really that the US dollar had been very thoroughly debased through inflation, and that was the real price of it, is that gold went up to $500 an ounce because it's not worth $35 an ounce anymore. So I could see them doing that, just making it illegal to hold cryptocurrency. And if you hold cryptocurrency, you're required to sell it to the government at a certain amount of money, and the government will hold the cryptocurrency. So that's the way that they'll make it illegal. It's like, okay, you can sell all your Bitcoin and it'll seem like a good price, maybe, right? But maybe not. Maybe like you could sell each Bitcoin for $1,000. Right now they're trading for like, I don't know, like $25,000, $30,000 or something like that. Something ridiculous for each entire Bitcoin. But they'll make you sell your Bitcoin to them, and then you can't buy or sell Bitcoin anymore. So they'll give people an out to sell their Bitcoin, and then you won't be able to use it to buy or it'll be illegal to accept it as payment. It'll be illegal to use it as payment. And I will really see this doing it as Patrick mentions, like something like XMR. I can see this with BTC. Immediately after buying it for $35, they revalued it at $75. Magic. It's all a numbers game. But whatever currency ends up being used by the dissidents is what they're going to target and make illegal, and they're going to use that as an excuse to make crypto illegal. So as people get banned from the banking system, or something like Andrew Torba over at Gab has to, how does he get money? He can't even open a bank account anymore, right? So all the corporations have banned him from having access to the banking system, which means he can't get money transferred. All the payment processors have banned Gab. Well, you could fund them through Bitcoin or a similar cryptocurrency. Right now, I think there's way too many cryptocurrencies, and the market kind of has to, if we want to actually use cryptocurrency as a currency, we really have to kind of cut it down to like 2 or 3 standards, like Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and like Ethereum or something. I don't know. It's got to be, hit 40K. Yeah, I thought it was something ridiculous. But then I saw someone else say that they lost like $1 million, which meant they probably lost a quarter of the value. The reason Bitcoin kind of sucks as a currency is it's just too valuable, and it's going up and down all over the place. But whenever people are using it, then they'll use it. Hey, this is funding domestic terrorism because all these dissidents are using it, and just make that illegal. And people don't realize, like, you can't just make it illegal. It's like, well, if you make it so all of the above ground businesses can't use it for fear of going to jail, then you will have effectively outlawed it. You know, you'll have made it so difficult to use that it's going to be something that only people in other countries get to use. And it's going to be, it's going to be a thing. So that's one of the reasons that, like, I still have Bitcoin and stuff and a couple other cryptocurrencies sitting around, but I don't have a lot of confidence in them sticking around because they're just too much of a threat to the government. Is that because they hold their value, just because they hold their value better than the dollar, what's going to happen? If they hold their value better than the dollar and it keeps going up and up, they're just going to make it illegal. They can't allow because cheap money will drive out dear money. They have to, you have to get people to stop using the good money. Anyway, let's go ahead and play a game. I like to pass around games and 3D printed schematics. Uh-oh. Is this working? Oh, maybe. There we go. There we go. Oh, I realized that I have like the Vita set up here. I'll show you. I figured out how to basically stream my Vita from my... There we go. This is a little bit stretched out. Here we go. There we go. To stream the Vita to the PC so we can stream it. Here we go. All right. Oh, it went black again for some reason. Let's see here. Need that. All right. Interesting. There we go. If it's running in full screen for some reason, it doesn't really show up correctly. We'll just adjust this a little bit here. Sorry for the delay. Anyway, I had to do that little rant because that's kind of what I see happening. There's no way that they're gonna let Bitcoin just kind of continue plowing on. It's gonna be viewed as a threat. Already back down to 35,000. 35,000 is a lot of money. So I'd be thinking about selling Bitcoin in particular. I might think about selling pretty soon. All right. But I feel like the trick for cryptocurrency is to like grab the cryptocurrency when it's kind of new and then get out of it when it seems like it's a little overvalued. Make sure I have all the items. Good. Good thing about Bitcoin though is that it's practically infinitely divisible. Good point. Yeah. You can pay 0.00001 Bitcoin. Yeah, little tiny satoshis. You can't really do that to a dollar yet. Dollars are only divisible to a point. Even when a dollar was really valuable, they had a half penny. They had a half penny coin that you could use. That's kind of cool. I think they had a 2-cent coin as well. And that's the thing I like about real silver is, a real silver coin, you can actually divide it pretty good and it's very fungible. So, a quarter ounce of silver is always worth a quarter ounce of silver, regardless of the shape of the coin. As long as it weighs the same, you're pretty much good to go. So it's very fungible and it's actually pretty divisible. You can make a little couple gram coin of silver that is worth, $1. It's just not quite as divisible maybe as it doesn't have as fine divisions as maybe you need in some economic situations. Like you can't get down into little pennies. You have to create some kind of stand-in for the division beyond, you know, about $1, let's say, modern dollar. The smallest division of BTC is 0.0000001. 0.00003 cents. That's pretty rad. What's the friction on buying silver? 2%? I'm not sure. I think it depends where you get it. If you're getting like silver out as change, like I used to do this as a kid, and it's been a while since I got into silver coins, but if you get the old, any coin minted before 1964, then you've got a coin with a high enough silver content, you can trade it as silver. In that case, it doesn't cost you anything to get it, but other than its nominal value. But I think I've paid, I'm trying to remember, I don't even remember how much I've paid. I haven't bought silver in such a long time, I don't really remember. But silver's been a pretty easy thing to buy. You could buy it for like $25 an ounce now, which is, I think, pretty reasonable. I don't know. I've sold it for like $40 an ounce before. Like right after Obama was elected, metal prices shot way up, and so I sold a bunch of silver. I was selling it for like $40 an ounce for a while because I had some, and then I bought more since then. What am I gonna do? I guess we'll just attack the green guy. These games motivated me to play Final Fantasy II for the first time. Got the Final Fantasy Origins version for my birthday 17 years ago. Just playing it now. Awesome. Yeah, I think that PlayStation version's really good. I got the PSP version to play, and I got a way to stream it from my PlayStation Vita, which is really cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. I enjoyed your silver video. Thank you. Thank you for watching it. I'm glad it was just something that's on my mind. It's like, now's a good time to talk about it. Guys, if you're not... Because it's easy to... You hear someone like... what's his name? A guy who ran Euro Pacific Capital. Who am I thinking of? Who was like, you gotta buy gold, gotta buy gold, 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 gold. It's like, I don't have an extra $1,800 to buy a single gold coin. Dude, silver is way good to buy, and it definitely holds its value pretty well. And you can use it in an emergency to buy things. That's what's cool to me, is like, I know that I could take a silver dollar if like the power was out, and I could trade it for batteries with my neighbor or something, and they would get, oh, it's silver bullion. Of course that's valuable. It's been valuable, you know. Jesus was worth 20 of those, you know. Jesus was worth 30 shekels of silver, so it's got to be worth something. Are game discs made today better than discs made 15 years ago? Or do the video game companies not want them to last as long? I think they're made better, actually. The Blu-rays are more scratch resistant. They're all made to the same standard. So video game companies don't specifically make them bad or good. They make them to whatever the standard for the disc is. And Blu-ray has a really good standard. So it's scratch resistant. It's a really good, robust disc. CDs, not as much, but the standard's gotten better since then. And they probably don't even press them at their own facilities. Rather, they have the master disc made, and then it's pressed at some facility. It's contracted out for a manufacturer that specializes in it. Like, there's not a lot of reason for, you know, Sony might have one, but there's not a lot of reason for like Nintendo to have a disc pressing facility. It's better to just contract that out. If you want to pass, give me the ruby. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Mmm, it tastes so sweet. Rubies are my favorite. He ate the ruby. I think there's some treasure down here. What's the troy ounce to Jesus's exchange rate? I think a shekel is about a 0.35 of a pound. So there's maybe 3 shekels per troy ounce. So 10 troy ounces of silver, I think, is where you're getting into the price that Judas paid for Jesus. Or the price that Judas got. A great axe. Let's see what the great axe does. Bob is at 39. Oops. Let's see what it does. 38. Okay, the great axe is really good. Coral Sword. So his damage, 39. 38. Which is good. Odin, 29. Okay, yeah. This is like a pretty good beastly little group here. Silver has a couple of applications in medicine and mirrors, but that's it as far as I know. Yeah, in my opinion, a limited amount of alternative utility is good for a currency, meaning you want it to be useful for other things, but not so useful that the price is going to fluctuate like a commodity, like oil or something. All right? You don't want it to be have so many other uses that you can't use it as currency because its value fluctuates every day. Silver, I think, is good, and gold, too, are both good in that case. Where I think other things that might be bad at currency would be, like, ammunition. People imagine post-apocalyptic worlds where ammunition is currency. Ammunition could be good for barter, but it's probably not going to be good currency simply because you're going to be shooting it. You know? So each time somebody shoots a gun, they're destroying the monetary supply. It's also not fungible. You know, a British 303 is not the same as a 22. So you have to figure out some other kind of system that values it. I rewatched The Seven Samurai this weekend. Awesome. Yeah, it's still fantastic. I love that you actually calculated that. Yeah. You mean bottle caps are the way? I actually said this in the video. Bottle caps, I think, would be a really good post-apocalyptic currency. As long as everybody decided that bottle caps were the currency. They're really light. You can carry a bunch of them around. They're not heavy. They're actually really fungible because even though they all have different brands on them, like a collector might want more Nuka-Cola and not Coca-Cola or something. Like collectors might want different bottle caps, but collectors want different coins. Coins are still really fungible. Like they're very ergodic. They can be switched with each other really easily. And so I think they'd actually be really good. And they're very durable. They're made of like tin and aluminum and other durable metals. So they'd be pretty durable, very light to carry, fungible. I think bottle caps would be good currency. I think they meet all the requirements of like a good currency. Whoops. Yeah, I think bottle caps would be the way. The Great Axe has low hit and crit rates. Good to know. I'm going to try it out, though. You can always replace it with something better. It'd be good for lower level enemies, though, because I think you can hit them. I think you hit lower level enemies at a greater rate. So the Great Axe would be really good at just, like, grinding enemies that are a little bit lower level than you. It was a really fun video. Thank you. Yeah, Metro 2033 using AK bullets as money is stupid to me. Yeah, every time somebody decides to fire their rifle, there goes the money supply. You got constant deflationary action, unless you're making more bullets, in which case you could have inflation because you just make more bullets. Fallout is the future, boys. Well, I already lived in Las Vegas. I can say that the nuclear apocalypse didn't change it that much. Still full of weirdos. I loved living in Las Vegas, but Las Vegas was a place that, like, everybody was from somewhere else and everybody had some kind of weird thing going on with them. Somebody was like, everybody was damaged. There was just something wacky with every single person I met in Vegas. I'm hearing some dwarf music. I bet you there's no, like, enemies here. Oh, there's a dwarf in that one. Can I go through here? Can I rest in the bed? Nope. Alright, let's talk to this guy. Use this rod behind the vampire's room. Hiding deep inside, you will find the cause of the Earth's rot. Ooh. Well, that's pretty nice of him. Cyberpunk is not the future. It's right now. Cyberpunk is the right now. Yeah, it's dwarf music. I'm like, wait, yeah, this music's happy. I'm not going to get attacked. Did you guys hear about that Event 201 in New York, October 2019? Event 201. No, I didn't. Wargaming the virus. I didn't hear about that. Hidden Fortress is a good one, too. Internet money feels bad. I mean, we're already using some kind of electronic currency. There are certain discs made specifically for archiving that are resistant to disk rot and can last for over 100 years in proper conditions. See, that's good to know. Not too long. I appreciate that. Like to pass around in games and 3D printed schematics. You know, and they're going to come for 3D printed schematics of guns. I think they are already. This is something that there's dudes that are out there, liberty-minded dudes, working on ways to 3D print like AR receivers and stuff. And the idea there is that, you know, even if you make it completely impossible to get an AR lower, we can make an AR lower. Like, we can still make the guns. So it's impossible to get the guns completely out of people's hands. You know, my dad, when he was alive, made a joke. He's like, you know, it's like if guns went away, I could make one. It's like I have schematics and plans, you know, from the M16. It's like we could make one with enough time and effort. You could make one with tight enough tolerances that it would fire reliably. And a person with less training could make a musket. And, you know, you kind of scoff. It's like a musket, you know. A musket, that's not going to do anything. Well, a musket will kill you. I mean, the old rifles that we used in the Civil War shot 50 caliber bullets. That is it's not kicking round. And I have a 50 caliber black powder rifle, actually. They're great. You know, you can hunt bears with them. So if it's good to hunt bears, you can defend yourself with one. Now, you only get one shot until you have to do a lot of reloading, but it's certainly better than nothing and could be used to defend yourself if you need it. I interviewed the two guys heading to Turns Dispensed. The FGC 9 is amazing. 9mm carbine that can put thousands of rounds down range. Yeah, that's awesome. One of the things we thought about, I guess, a while back was, you know, the problems with making an AR-15 receiver is that the receiver is under a lot of stress when you're firing it. The Armalite rifle is a well-made gun, but that receiver gets under a lot of stress when you're firing it, which means it's hard to make a 3D printed one. Whereas something that's more like an AK, that basically the receiver is almost sheet metal wrapped around. It's designed to be very cheap. It's the bolt and everything that's needs to be robust, and the receiver can be actually pretty tame. And there were guys designing new rifles that use frames and receivers that, you know, are able to withstand the force and can be 3D printed. A thing here in California they did a few years back was, like, people are constantly find ways around the laws. That's the other thing that people forget. It's like, I'm going to make this illegal. People are going to find ways around those laws. So you're never going to get anything completely out. It's just, I think it's just something that if you catch somebody, you already have a reason to, like, you know, if you have a reason to search someone's house, then you have a reason to lock them up because they're going to have some kind of gun that they're not supposed to have. But yeah, it's kind of like Pandora's box. Like, you can't put guns back in the box, guys. I did a mini doc on a dude in Arizona making a do-it-yourself armor-piercing 9mm round that anyone can do at home. Well, I mean, I can tell you that... Well, I don't want to tell... Should I tell this on YouTube? Imagine someone breaking into David's house. At the top of the stairs, he fires a cannon and gets a guy, then readies his musket, puts a fist-sized hole in another, then bayonets the last guy. I think that was a joke. It's like, we only have Revolutionary War items. And it's like, okay, I'll fire my cannon full of grape shot, and then I'll shoot my 50 caliber musket and blow apart the guy's head, and then I'll charge him with my bayonet. And then I'll blast him to pieces with my privately owned ship of the line. People don't realize that the battleships were privately owned. It's like, how did we fight the... Where did we get the ships to fight the British Navy? Private Marines, private merchant marines, and private ships. There was no ship going to sea that was not armed for combat, because piracy was a real thing. Yeah, I shouldn't. You know, here's the... it's... People are always like, armor piercing this, armor piercing that. It's not that hard to make armor piercing bullets. It's not. You can do that stuff at home. I won't say on YouTube how you can do it, but and the easiest way to do it's actually in one of my favorite movies, and they just said it. And it was like common knowledge when I was a kid. Oh yeah, you can just do this. Oh, really? It's like, oh yeah. It's easy. Why don't they sell the bullets like that? I don't know. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I was gonna sell some stuff. I think Odin has a... We will sell the rune sword. I'll keep one of those other ones. And sell maybe the coral sword or the dragon sword, I think. We'll sell it. All right, we're gonna get better stuff anyway. So I don't remember. I think the coral sword has more crit. I don't remember. The Dagny Dagger. If you guys want some self-defense that nobody will bat an eye to, steel-toe boots and tools and the handyman clothes. Walking around dressed as a handyman with a hammer is not suspicious. I had this in one of my books in Eyes on the Walls. He defended himself with a wrench, with a big pipe wrench. It's like it's a club-sized weapon if you use it right. You can see how crazy these people get with the UK. Does he know Fire 3 yet? Let's check. Nope. We're going to learn Fire 3, though. Fire 3 is going to be very useful. Fire 3. Stay at the inn, and then we'll go fight go back through the dungeon and fight the vampire. 100 gold. Once you get up to like 100,000 gold, you don't really like bat an eye at 100 gold at an inn. The original Mad Max took place in 2021. I didn't know that. Definitely feels like we're in a Mad Max world. The original Mad Max is weird. It's so different from the other Mad Max movies. Like, things don't look post-apocalyptic. They just look weird. It's like, this is like a weird police force, and the whole point is that like it's an isolated place, and the government as a whole has collapsed at some point. I kind of like that original Mad Max. I think it's a pretty cool one. They had a law proposed to put a GPS tracker in every knife handle. Do they realize that it's not that hard to make a knife? We're going to stop people from making knives. Like your ancestors were making knives out of rocks. It's like, take metal, grind into Sharpie bit. Now you have a knife. Mad Max 1's just before the collapse. Is that it? Is this the very first Final Fantasy? Yeah, this is the first one. I'm gonna try to do all of them. I'm trying to stream like all of them because they're fun. And it's just a fun thing to do. So this is the original NES version. If you buy later versions, they are better in a lot of ways. Graphically, they're going to look a little bit better, although I like the NES graphics, personally. and I like the sound of the NES music. But they also fix a lot of bugs. So there's a bunch of weapons that don't work in this version of the game. There's a bunch of things that don't work correctly. Like a bunch of magic spells that do the opposite. Like the systems programming is actually kind of wonky for this version of the game. So that's all fixed in later versions. So later versions are probably superior. I have the iOS version too, and it's pretty good for what it is. So you can play it on your phone, and it's a pretty decent little experience. And what's cool is you can have different party setups. You can really customize the way that you play the game. Play it different ways. You can own ARs in the UK, but they can't be bigger than 22 caliber. 22 mag. What's up? That was a thing in California because it's like you could have unlimited magazine capacity for a while as long as it was rimfire. Cool. Well, we're going to set up some Mini 14s in 22 mag. And, hey, it's a rimfire cartridge, sir. Prisoners can make knives in prison. They do. That's why this Smith & Wesson M&P 1522 is one of the most popular semi-autos over there. You can still have tube magazines more than like 10 rounds here, I think. Because they would have made it impossible to have like so many 22s made over the last like 80 years have huge magazines. People scoff. They're like, oh, the 22s, it can't do any damage, right? It's just like a squirrel gun. I think Bobby Kennedy was killed by a 22. They are definitely deadly weapons. First gun I ever got was I got when I was 5 years old. My dad got it for me for Christmas. It's a little tiny 22 rifle that I learned to shoot on. It was really good because it was a bolt-action rifle, but you had to cock it every time. So you just learned the process of like you had to put in a bullet physically as a single shot, close the bolt, cock it, aim, fire, you know. So it was really good procedurally for learning. Very thankful for a lot of that. that got flagged. I always thought the R-Tard in Mad Max 1 turned into Master Blaster and Thunderdome. Like, you know, Toe Cutter. So, Toe Cutter in Mad Max 1 is the same actor who plays Immortan Joe in Mad Max Fury Road. I think he died recently, actually. So, yeah, same actor. It's Toe Cutter. Oi, mate, where's your knife? We got a license for that kitchen knife. I'm in my kitchen. What you got there? Something I got out of my grandmother's cutlery drawer. Right, off to jail with you. I remember as a kid not liking the ending of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and as an adult, I think it's like the best ending to a comedy movie ever. Or like the police come and round them up because they're just a bunch of like LARPers in the woods. You have 30 round magazines over there too, for 22 of course. That's a lot of, I mean, technically an AR-15 is a 22. It's just not a rimfire 22. It's a higher velocity 22. Wait, I gotta go this way. I'm gonna be over here somewhere. Nope. These bats that like stand in the doorway. Oh, you got a license for that kitchen knife? Hey, you got a license for them scissors? Sir, they're scissors. I'm using them to cut paper. You got a license for them or not? Right, off to jail with you. Let's take a picture of it for the Twitters. Tell them what kind of deadly weapons we got off the street tonight. Right, I found a fencing foil. That's practically a sword. Let's take a picture of that. I found a spoon that's slightly sharp. Right, we'll take a picture of that. Like, I think the Manchester police Twitter was like the biggest meme on Twitter ever. Because they were always posting pictures. Here's what we got off the street tonight. And it's like, you got grandma's butter knife that some dude had, I guess, in his bag, you know. Some dude had a penknife. He had a can opener. That's a deadly weapon. Like, it's such a joke at this point. Holy Grail's a masterpiece. Monty Python in general had some great sketches and then also a lot of weird stuff that was too British for me to understand. I understand a lot of it as an adult. There's just, some of it is referential, and so I think the stuff that's not referential you really get. And it's classic. And to that end, I really think Oscar Wilde plays are still really funny to me. And they're over 100 years old. Because the humor's not referential. He's not referencing something else that's from the culture. The joke is about irony, or it's about like the situation at hand, or a play on words, and those things really last, I think. And I think Monty Python and the Holy Grail, particularly because it's like a joke in a medieval setting, actually holds up better than their other stuff. Yeah, they had an actual spoon in one of those photos. I remember what it was. Is they're like, somebody was like, they found a sword. It's like, it's a fencing foil. It's a wire. It's a wire with a handle. It's a car antenna. You're gonna just like lightly tap someone with the car antenna. So get out of here. There we go. Magic. UK police bragged on Twitter about taking a bike tire off the street. They were mocked hard for that one. They deserve it. Of course, now I think, you know, I think they should have at people's doors for harassing people on Twitter. Like by saying that somebody was a man who was trans, you know. Meanwhile, they don't do anything about like trying to catch thieves or anything like that. That's what gets people. It's like, you know, any concern like this should be so far down the list. Like, why are you even bothering? We're bothering because we care. Yeah, watch out. He's got a car antenna. He could maybe he could put a welt on your head if he hits you really hard with it. Watch out, guys. Not everybody's like an SAS commando that can kill somebody with a car antenna. I'm sure there are dudes out there who could kill you with a car antenna. It's probably not the dude who's coming home from fencing practice. Gotta wait for this bat to move. Oh, did you see that? There we go. Oh, weird little slowdown there. Mummies! I think I can harm them. Oh, Larry's asleep. Now look at this. They actually broke... Okay, so this is interesting. I'm going to pause this for a second. Oh, no. Here you go. Look. So, asleep. Now, they broke the 4-character limit here. Everything you'll notice has like a 4-character limit. They made SL and like EP. They made this into 2 characters. So it's just like, this is like an image that's shoved in there to make the word asleep. Because normally everything is a 4-character set. It's really funny. It's just like a weird workaround. Like, well, can we just put in like a couple little extra characters to make some extra words, you know? Oh, you got a license for whatever they like and just confiscate it. take it home with them. Now, this is an interesting thing, is like you can't, they tried to make, I think, swords or something illegal in the UK, like, you know, historic arms. And it's like, it's technically illegal, but you can have a defense, like the way the legal system works. It's like, you have to rely on having a defense. I don't remember if I got this treasure last time, so I'm just going to do it again. I got a branch saw confiscated from me by the police cops. I tried to tell them I was a gardener. It's like they see someone working with a machete. What are you doing with that? I'm cutting these branches. Cutting these branches, sir. I'm a gardener. What are you? Are you a thug? I'm a gardener. Miss Gardener. Right. In the paddy wagon with you. Easier to police people on Twitter than to catch the guy that stabbed your nan. It's probably true, and also to catch the guy that stabbed your nan, you'd have to go into like a no-go zone. Where everybody there might stab you with knives that they're not giving you. Like weapon sweeps. It's like when they find some kind of ancient revolver in the weapon sweep. See if I have the item. Crown key rod. The plate shatters, revealing a stairway. There we go. Oh, it's getting darker. I like the little palette darkening. Whoa! Gotta fight these giants. I'm gonna fight. Fight that great imp. When are you writing, do you use speech to text? When you are writing, do you use speech to text to go water or manual type or to go faster? I use speech to text a lot on social media because I'm having to do things with one hand. But when I'm writing books, it's always at a keyboard. I don't use text to speech at all. To me, it's not faster. And one of the reasons is that I will compose the same sentence 3 times when I'm actually writing. And so I'm like, write a sentence, I delete half, you know, I'm writing and deleting constantly. So for me, using something like Dragon software is not going to work because I don't think out the entirety of the sentence before I'm just like blazing words down. It's just the way I write. I don't want to change how I do it. Even if it were to improve my words per minute, it's just not that important to me to like have the best words per minute ever. I do it for fun, so I like to enjoy the process. Everybody's poisoned. Nope. Some of these healing potions. These are really good because then you don't have to use up your magic charges healing people. You can use those magic charges in combat. It's a lot better. Alright. Go through this labyrinth. Very labyrinthine. Treasure boxes. Lots of gold. A wooden staff. Well, that's great. Whoa! Flip-flops and shopping trolleys are all we have left to defend ourselves in Australia. If you got a license, for standing outside. Brian Regan actually had a gag about loitering. It's like, county, what are you in for? Loitering! They're like, you gotta move along, and I was like, I don't think so. I'm a rebel like you. What are you in for? Manslaughter! I slaughtered a man. Like a pig! Put an apple in his mouth! There we go. Hyenas. What are you doing in this deep, dark cave, hyena? What are you eating? I'm eating adventurers like you. I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow to the knee. Whoa, sphinxes. These look cool. Here we go. I have full bore on first one. It's easy to tell when a manuscript was composed with STT in editing. I hadn't thought about that, but you know, I end up with errors. I end up with like a lot of little typos and errors because I recompose my sentences a lot as I'm writing. I know you're not supposed to edit while you're writing, but to me that's not editing. It's just like, I want to write this one a little bit differently. You know, I just kind of rewrite sentences a lot while I'm writing. I don't go back and like do big edits. So I catch lots of things, you know, when I go back through the first draft where I'm like, whoa, this sentence makes no sense. Like in my mind, I had composed a different sentence than what ended up on paper. So it's really good to, especially if you're gonna do this, like, if you have the ability, you can put a manuscript away for a while and then come back and look at it. And you'll find lots of things like that where you're like, I don't know what I was talking about here. This is not clear at all. I need to rewrite this. I see so many like videos on like YouTube, like author tube videos that like, learn how to increase your words per minute with speech to text. I'm like, I just can't compose with the same quality just writing or just talking into a microphone. Yeah. Harm. Looks like a manticore. I love seeing the Japanese takes on other mythologies. So I was watching this anime that I'll talk about at some point called Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in the Dungeon? I think is what it was. And it's really funny because it's very Western fantasy, but the characters act very Japanese, especially the main character. He's like bowing in a very he's just culturally Japanese. It's kind of funny. Like everything is very Western styled, but all the mannerisms are Japanese. And I don't know, I found it kind of silly and kind of hilarious. It's just that's the culture that made it. Well, of course, if they want to make him very kind of polite and neurotic, they're going to make him say "sumimasen" all the time and be highly formal with everyone and be bowing and apologizing constantly because that's the way like somebody who's neurotic in Japan actually acts. But somebody who's neurotic in the US just wouldn't be that way. They'd be more like C-3PO. Oh! Which game created the pixel stairwell first? The same design is used in so many games. I don't know. I think probably Legend of Zelda. I tried that speech to text. Getting the thing to properly understand you is too much work. Faster typing. I hate harems. I've been watching that show recently. It's pretty good. I don't really... There's a lot of things I don't like about it. Mainly, I don't like game systems put into regular fiction. To me, that makes no sense whatsoever. You have game systems like stats to represent things that just occur in stories. Oops. So to me, it makes absolutely no sense to have, you know, your agility went up in a like TV series. That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Anime is one of those things I love, but I have no time for. So here's how I figured out how to make time for anime. Is I have like a exercise bike I bought. I fortuitously bought it like before the pandemic became a big thing. Because why did I buy it? Oh, because I knew the pandemic was coming. Like I told everybody to do all this stuff. I'm like, there's gonna be lockdowns and crap. I'm like, make sure you have all this stuff. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to go to the gym, so I need to figure out something there. And so I got that, and just I could plop like a tablet or whatever on the front of it and watch some anime. It's pretty fun. Been very thankful for it because one episode is like one cardio session, so you can watch an episode and get a little exercise. I did that tonight, and you know, when you're done, it's a good bite-sized chunk. I wouldn't like to watch movies that way because I really don't like watching movies in chunks. Like I like to sit down and watch a movie. But series are pretty good. I think Kill a Kill was the last series I watched in its entirety. I haven't watched it. So I think I have an analysis on Code Geass coming out tomorrow, which is a mecha anime. You don't have to be into mecha anime to like it. It's a really good show that all of its quality is really from the characters and the conflict between them, and also the things which drive them. So there's a bigger moral conflict at play that makes all the actions of the characters have a lot more gravity and the drama be a little bit better. So I do like Code Geass. Quite a bit. So I would recommend that one if you haven't seen that. And they're actually coming out with more stuff in that universe, I think this year and next year. And they came out with a movie last year, but I haven't watched it yet because I wanted to watch the series first. Let's see what's going on here. Heard a lot about them though. Whoa! Giants. Let's clear out these wolves first. Maybe use... Let's try... Oh, we have no charges if that's the problem. Let's try Ice 2. Never seen the other movies. Star Wars The Force Awakens was so unengaging I watched it in 2 sittings. I knew people who fell asleep in Force Awakens, which I'm like, it's so fast-paced, how'd you fall asleep? And it's like, there's no, fast pace doesn't necessarily mean that there's not a lot of, there's, in a lot of cases, there's just not a lot of drama going on. Have you ever seen Black Lagoon? I have not. Redline is a great anime movie that's worth the 90 minutes. I can't believe they got the guy who produced Lost to make a Star Wars trilogy that's genuinely hilarious. Well, he did he did 2 Star Trek movies, one of which was not very good, and the other one was just straight up bad. Star Trek Into Darkness. And they should have known where he was going to go, because Star Trek Into Darkness was just a pure nostalgia fest for Wrath of Khan. It just was like... It's so self-referential. That's what you get with millennials. Like, they can't do anything that's not referencing other things, I guess. So the entire movie was referencing itself. Like, it's just bizarre. Everything's referencing other Star Trek memes. It's like, we're going to have red shirt guys kill themselves. That was actually in the first Star Trek movie he did. Wait, I still have poison?
See if there's something this way. I think we go up around here. Oh, man. Look at all these monsters. Oh, and they get to hit me. Every single one of them. They're gonna take forever. Let's run away. Come on, run! They're not doing that much damage, they just poison you. 2 damage. Alright, Bert, there you go. Ever see the Love is War anime? It's pretty good comedy. I've seen a little bit of it, but I haven't really watched it. I just like the memes from it. I like the Chica dance memes. Trolls! This troll's like trying to pull his hair out. I like when films don't reference stuff for the sake of referencing it. Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of the stuff we've had lately. It's all referencing, it's all self-referential rather than a self-contained story. It's like Ready Player One. Like Ready Player One, he came out with, or was it Ready? Yeah, it came out with a sequel to Ready Player One. It's unreadable. Ready Player One was already unreadable, and he made it even more unreadable. The entire thing just is an attempt to say, remember this? I'm referencing this. Do you know this? How about this thing? You know? And I've written stuff like Nostalgia Chronicles that's just constant references, but that's really about evoking a time and a place. Like this, was it Ready Player 2? I don't even know what it's called. It's unreadable. It's like some of the worst stuff I've ever seen. And Ready Player One was already unreadable. TFA was terrible. I remember being one of the only one who wasn't crazy about it. Yeah, I remember because I had people like calling up my employer trying to get me fired because I said it sucked. Which is just ridiculous. Like, they thought that was incredibly funny. I was a school teacher at the time, and they're like, we got people calling saying you're a Nazi. I'm like, well, you can decide if I am or not. Do I look like a Nazi to you? I'm like, no. Someone doesn't like me online. That's what it came down to. You know, I had someone threaten to kill me unless I took down my Force Awakens review. Said they'd find me and kill me if I didn't take it down. I'm not going this way, apparently. Like, that's lovely. You are a very well-balanced individual. Also, that wouldn't work out for them. I actually had to stop and remember the name of TFA. I almost called it A New Hope. Absolutely. It's beat for beat A New Hope. It really is. It's a beat for beat the first Star Wars movie, including like blowing up a Death Star. The only thing that's different is the first 30 or 40 minutes is a little different. Because J.J. Abrams was making a very different movie when they started, and somewhere along the way, they were writing the movie as they went along, which is not a good idea. Anyone who's a writer knows that making up the story as you go and not being able to change it out, like writing a movie as you go seems like the worst idea I've ever heard of. And you can see the results. But I think they started writing one movie, and they said they originally planned on having, like, you know, they meet up with Luke Skywalker and have adventures with Luke Skywalker, and then it didn't end up happening. So it's kind of clear, like, they had this thing, like, we're going to find Luke with the map, and then they just completely changed directions, and they're like, nah, we got to take care of this Death Star now. They just ended up with a different movie at the end. So, like, it's like 2 movies mashed together. And the third one was like 2 movies mashed together. The third one was the original idea for the sequel kind of backfilled, and then the actual third movie. So the third movie is also 2 items stuck, or 2 movies stuck together. So the first one felt like two movies frantically stuck together, and the third one felt like two movies frantically stuck together, because that's kind of what it was. With the third one, J.J. Abrams had to like completely retcon everything that happened in the middle movie, because Rian Johnson was just did his own thing, and he's like, oh well, J.J. didn't tell me anything, so I wrote this movie that I imagined completely independent of what Force Awakens did, and so now that's what I came out with, because that's the movie I wanted to make. It's like, it's my personal expression of Star Wars. Oh, man. I got a feeling this is where the boss is. Oh, an orb. Let's heal up, huh? I realize it's late and I should probably call it, but I kind of want to see where this goes. George Lucas had a plan, but they decided to throw it out. Yeah, they did. I think the biggest mistake of the new Star Wars trilogy is that it exists. Yeah, and it's a kind of a sunk cost thing. It's like I remember this story about World War Z where they watched the movie, and Brad Pitt and everyone was in the room, and they're like, we had this feeling like, usually we have this feeling when we finish a movie like, this is good. And all the filmmakers like, this isn't good. So they went back and reshot half the movie and made basically a different movie. The Fiend's Ball cracks open, and an ominous cloud rises. An evil shape congeals. It is Lich, the Fiend of Earth. Looking at the High Republic like, what did they do to my boy? The High Republic keeps getting worse and worse. They revealed their best cover right away, and people wanted to dogpile on it. I'm like, it's actually a very well-designed book cover, but, you know, they're like, we don't want to do Old Republic, because that's BioWare's thing. We want to do our own thing. Magic. I think I can hit this guy with harm, too. Let's try some other magic. Let's try, like, ice. Let's try fast on Bert. Well, he had 3 hits there. That's nice. I can't argue against that, Jay. This strangled the golden goose in all the name of propaganda and social engineering. I think it's probably a combination of bunch of things. There. Oh, well, he was easy. I'm impressed they messed it up so absolutely. Yeah, people are like, I'd like to see you do better. I'm like, give me $250 million, and the question is, how could I do any worse? Whoa. What happened? Can't donate blood today. Well, it happens. Alright. Do I go back now? Kind of left me out here. Under any other circumstances, KK would be fired so quick her head would spin. You know, Igor must have been furious. It messed it up so bad I can't even watch. I haven't watched Mandalorian Season 2. I promised some people I'd do Mandalorian content. Like analysis of it. People are like, it's the fan-fictioniest of them all. I really need to call it because it's late. I've had a lot of fun with this. There we go. Terminate that ogre. 3 hits. If you do monk, you can get up to 6 hits. or black belt in the NES version. You do 6 hits at a time, empty-handed. It's pretty crazy what they do at the end of the game. Kind of thought about going fighter monk with this setup, so then you don't have to worry so much about other weapons. But do you donate blood? I haven't in a long time, and it's not because like I don't want to. It's that like it's really physically hard for me to do it because I'm constantly taking care of kids. I don't remember which ones are the tougher ones. Like, I think the arachnids are. Alright. Well, we one-shot all of them anyway. Star Wars 1 through 6. Yeah, I agree. Oops. Should've got Bastard, 1988. It's a very silly anime about a wacky wizard, and it's heavy on metal references. That's why I liked, what was it called? Deathgasm? It's nothing but metal references. It's like, this is funny. I could dig the metal references. The NES had, a 56 total color palette and 16 on screen at once, but hardware quirks meant only 52 and 13 were actually usable. Shows how creative they had to be to make the art in those games. Yeah, for sure, I agree. That's a great point. Like, it's really hard to make good art with 4 colors. Are you the Light Warriors? Revive the power of the orbs. Thanks to you, the Earth is beginning to revive. Pass through the Titan's tunnel and south to find Sarda, the sage. We found him, I think. Light Warriors, thanks to you, the Earth is beginning to revive. Is there anything else? In the northern world, there was once a prosperous civilization. Okay. I think that's it for now. Alright. So we will save the game at the end. And we will call it there for the night, I think. Let me show you this real quick. So, PlayStation Vita. I'll show you this as we get out of here. Alright. Let me show you this real quick. Check the Vita here. Check this out. Haha. Hopefully that didn't hurt your ears. Oh, dang it, I dropped the cable. Here it is. Yeah, Vita out has, or Vita has video out capabilities. Let's see if you can see it. Not showing up here. Interesting. You can hear the music, but you can't see the video for some reason. I might have to switch away to something else. Well, you can hear the music, though. Let's try this again. What happens if I hide this? Nothing. Wonder what's going on here. Properties. Maybe I gotta try this a little bit different here. I might have to have it plugged in before I turn on OBS, and that's probably why it's acting a little bit weird. There we go. Anyway, I had this set up so that I could actually stream stuff from the Vita. So I could stream the PSP games from the PlayStation Vita, which will run them. Let's see if that works. Maybe, maybe not. Yep. I can't get it to show up. Oh well. I got everything turned on. Oh well. That's not going to happen tonight, but I have it set up. I already tested it, so. Playing Mario on the NES was like a bizarro version of SNES with the colors. Yeah. Fun hanging out. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I do. Manda wants to be the man with no name, only they... What is it? Sucked out any element of confidence or badassness. Too toxic nowadays, I guess. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they were thinking with some of the stuff, but I don't know. It's not that bad. I really don't think it's that bad. Well, it's not showing up right now. Oh well. Hope you guys will have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching after the fact, and check out the website dpspress.com. I've always got some stuff up there that maybe doesn't make its way over to YouTube. So have a great one, and I'll see you guys next time.